Good morning, Poet fans. Welcome to our another segment of our Alumni Feature Friday here on WCPoets.com. I'm Lance Frady, Associate Athletic Director for Communications, and we have a special guest for us today, all the way across the pond, former water polo player Sawyer Bellville. Sawyer, welcome to our segment.
Hi, Lance. Thanks for having me.
So this is a great time to talk to you. You're across the pond over in England, and like you said, right now it's 5 o'clock there. But how has quarantine been with you and your family? You've only been there a month, so how have the changes been for you?
Yeah, so at first, when I was in quarantine with my family, I struggled a lot being home. Going from having complete freedom and then going back and living with your parents can be very difficult. So to be completely honest, the first 2 weeks were really hard. I was really sad. It didn't feel like it was real at all. I was overwhelmed. I really missed my friends, especially my teammates. Just so many things played into that. But I adjusted really quickly, which I am fortunate about. I definitely took for granted all the food that my mom's made me during quarantine, and like having the laundry right there, and just being home and having access to everything that I needed so easily.
Now, what do you like the most being over there in England right now?
So right now I'm living in campus accommodation, and it's called ensuite style. So there's 6 rooms and then one big living room and a kitchen. And my favorite thing at the moment, we're in quarantine for these 2 weeks. So I've only had about a week where I've been let out. And in that week I went to London and got to travel, and it's been amazing. But I'm just really lucky to have the other 5 people that I'm living with just be absolutely amazing. They're incredible people. One girl is also on the water polo team, but everyone else are just students, and they're amazing. I got really lucky with them.
So you just recently graduated here in 2020. Just talk to us why you went over across the pond over to England. What are you doing? Take us through that.
Okay. So now I just moved to the UK. I've been here a little bit over a month, and I am getting my master's in sustainability, energy, and development at Durham University. I am also playing on the women's water polo team. I'm currently in quarantine, as I said, until Tuesday, because some of the people who live on the floor above me have COVID. So we're just self-isolating to be safe, just keeping the community safe, focusing on that. But afterwards, I'll get to go back to practice, and I do have in-person seminars. So looking forward to going back to those.
Now, have you been enjoying the virtual learning for you, or would you prefer to be in person? How's that been going? Then also, secondly, how is the water polo there compared to being here in the States?
Yeah, so I struggle with virtual learning. I do not do as well. I just don't. It's much harder for me to pay attention. I really rely on the social aspect of learning and working with my peers and getting to see them. It really motivates me. So not having that as much has been very difficult, but I do get to go to very few things in person. So I do look forward to that. And the information that I'm learning now that I am in graduate school is much more focused on what I actually want to be doing. So that is also encouraging, and it's nice because I really do want to be learning about these things. Water polo here compared to at home, I would say we're a lot more competitive at home. And I loved having an outdoor pool, took that for granted as well because it's very cold here. But it's still really fun. We're only able to do lane swim as of right now, and we can book out times in the pool within our household. So I am lucky. The other girl that I live with is a goalie, so I get to go and shoot on my free time because we live together, but we don't get to play with anyone that we don't live with. We can only do swimming practices for right now.
Okay, so a lot of rules and regulations that you have to, get accustomed to over there.
Yeah.
And of course, the great weather we have out here is, of course, you're saying it's cold there.
Yes. Yeah. I miss it. I miss it already.
Now, let's talk about your experience attending Whittier College. You were at USC, you played water
Yeah.
polo there before transferring to Whittier College. Why the switch? And then how was the experience for you being at Whittier College?
Okay, so I actually had to transfer very last second. I think it was 5 days before the semester started at USC because of financial reasons. And I am so incredibly grateful that Whittier, they basically took me in. The smaller environment at Whittier suited me much better. My mental health improved, and I actually got to fall in love with water polo all over again, which was my favorite part. At USC, the trainings were so intense that I found myself anxious to go to practice most days. And I loved the girls and I loved pushing my body and to my limits and everything like that. But it just became a lot less enjoyable because there was such a huge amount of stress in that environment. So getting to come to Whittier, it just became fun again, and it was still competitive and I had so much fun. I just got to learn to love my sport again. And I also met the most amazing people at Whittier who are kind and talented and just brilliant individuals. And I feel really lucky. I mean, I had to transfer. I didn't have that choice, but I'm really glad that it happened.
Now, you were there for 2 years with us. You proved to
Mhm.
be an impact player. You were named first team All SCIAC in 2019, and then you were probably going to be earning another first team nod here in 2020 if the season wasn't cut short. But you were a two-time ACWPC All-American, a two-time ACWPC Academic All-American. How was it playing for Coach Casa, and how were you able to balance school and playing at such a high level?
Okay. So Coach Casa. I loved playing for Coach Casa. We had a great relationship, and we were both there to support the team and to win. Those were our two main goals, so it was great. And he also cared about all of us as people. I felt free to go into his office whenever and chat with him about whatever I wanted. If I was having a hard day, I could tell him about it. And that was really nice because I'd never had that relationship with a coach prior to Casa. And I have been playing water polo, I think now for 13 years. So him being that first person that I could actually go in and be like, hey, this is going on in my life outside of water polo was really nice. And we did have our differences a few times, but I see that as a really good thing because I was comfortable enough with him to voice my honest thoughts. And then we could talk about why things were done this way or that way. So he made sure that we knew his reasoning, and he would explain things very openly, and it was really nice. Balancing school and playing was actually a really fun challenge for me. I really liked it. I'm lucky because I truly love academics and water polo. So I wanted to do all of those things that I quote unquote had to do. I also really loved the classes I was in at Whittier. I had amazing professors. They were really engaging. I also, due to the small number of people in each class, I made really good relationships with my peers, and we would study and work together a lot outside of class. For me, that's really important to meet people in your classes, get their phone numbers, get their emails, work with them, form that bond, and just help each other, because some people may have different ways of learning things, different perceptions, different points of view, and it's really good to learn with your peers.
Now, this past spring, due to COVID, the season was cut short, but the team was red hot. You winning seven of their last eight. You posted a 9-5, 2-0 Sky record. You capped off the season, beating Claremont Lit Scripps in a 10-9 battle at home that ended the season. How were you all feeling with the news not being able to finish? What did you think about this team that you were playing on?
Yeah. So we went into that last CMS game with the mentality of this could be our last game. We have to give it everything that we have. And we did that. We absolutely did that. We were all so fired up and excited. It felt like it could have been a final match. So going into that game with that mentality helped a little bit, but it was still really devastating. I remember the next day when we went into our meeting, I cried when we got the news that at the very least season would be postponed. And I know there was two other of my teammates who were also visibly like upset in distress. Um, at that point, I knew I was going to be playing in graduate school, so I wasn't sad that water polo was over forever for me. But I loved that team and those girls so much. We all bought in and we were there playing for each other. In the beginning of the season, we really struggled to click and connect. And that's expected when you have so many new players that are starters and such big contributors in games. But we got it together really, really quickly, and we learned how to be the best team that we could be for each other. And it just happened. It happened so beautifully. I cannot explain it. And apart from being amazing and basically just working our asses off for each other as a group, they still are just amazing individuals. I am proud to call each and every one of those girls my friend. They're incredible, smart, kind, hardworking, everything that you could ask for in a friend and a teammate, and so much more. So this was definitely the most incredible team experience that I've ever had.
And for you, did you feel the level of play within SCIAC was really good for you? And also the level of the practices that Coach Casa actually put together? Was it run like a Division I practice?
Yes, it was absolutely like we ran the way we clicked. It was like a Division I team, and we obviously don't have the same amount of allotted time, but with what we did have, that's how we were running. We were very, very competitive. When we went over to the East Coast, we were struggling. That was the very beginning of season. That's when we were really struggling to connect and to click and to not play as individuals but as a team. And even then, when we were struggling, we beat some D1 teams and kept up with other really good D1 teams. So there's no question in my mind that as that season progressed, we wouldn't have been an absolutely like competitive team across the board.
And let's talk about the experience on game day. What was that like for you, being able to play in front of so many fans and probably some of the best crowds within SCIAC?
Yeah, that was I love actually that game was our last game. If I could change it, I don't think that I would. We played as a team, and just hearing everyone go crazy in the stands and knowing that so many of our friends and family members were up there, seeing Coach Casas and Coach Max and Coach Zach's reactions on the bench was just amazing. It was incredible. It was everything that I love about the sport just in one game. It was the best.
Now, the last question I have for you is any words of advice for athletes who are attending Whittier College right now, or any new athletes that are kind of debating whether or not to attend Whittier College? What kind of words and advice do you have for them?
Okay. So if you're debating whether or not Whittier, I know a lot of people go back and forth from, do I want a big school? Do I want a small school? I chose the big school. I did, because that's what everyone was telling me to do. And everyone said, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, you have an offer from this Division I school. That's amazing. Like, you have to take it. And I did, and I shouldn't have. I am thankful for that experience. I'm so glad, but don't let that pressure and that idea be your deciding factor. Do what you know is best for you. For me, it was the smaller environment. It was the smaller school. I met amazing people and made such close relationships so quickly. And I loved Whittier. So if you're deciding, I strongly can't highly recommend it highly enough. My advice now for athletes already at Whittier in these weird COVID times would basically just be to keep your head up and stick with it. Train how you can safely at the moment on your own or who you live with, and keep in touch with your teammates. I know some people may still be at home far away from campus, and others might be living with each other near campus, which is great. I'm really happy for you if you get to do that. My advice for those athletes who are living together would be to reach out to your teammates who aren't with you, those who are still at home with their families, they might be far. Just check in on them, see how they're doing, make sure they know you haven't forgotten about them and that they're okay. Because I can't imagine how hard it would be to get to see all your teammates living together and doing fun things, and then you're at home without them. So just make sure you check on them. For athletes who are with their families, I hope that you're doing well. I know it might have been a long time since seeing your team, but hopefully that changes very soon. Advice that I have in general outside of COVID times and specifically for incoming athletes is just work hard. Always give your best. Your best won't always be 100% because no one is capable of giving 100% all of the time. But give all that you have on that specific day, in that specific moment. Also, last thing is team relationships and team bonding are really, really important. No matter how cheesy some things or activities may seem, it's important to have a connected team, to bond with each other. Having a connected team, it makes the whole experience 1,000 times better. I promise you. So if you can work on those relationships, do it.
Now, Sawyer, how long are you going to be over there in the UK?
I am going to be here. My program lasts for about 10 months, but my lease is for 12. And then my dissertation is not due until August. So I'll be here for sure for 10 months, so 9 more months. And I haven't decided after that whether I'm going to stay, travel around Europe while I do my dissertation, or going to go back home.
Okay, so you have options, which is really nice. So
Yeah.
Okay, well, Sawyer, that's all the time we have for you today here on WCPost.com. Thank you so much for hopping on to this Zoom call with me today.
Of course. Thank you for having me again.
So make sure you stay safe over there in the UK. Have fun in graduate school and continue to play. And please keep us updated with how you are doing.
I will. Thank you. You stay safe too.
Thank you.